as fathers, our only legacy will be what memories and stories and legends are left behind when we're gone that our children will continue to tell. We only exist as long as the next generations are able to remember this, and that is something I've always been cognizant as a father. The weight and the responsibility of that is a heavy fucking load, but that is the deal. So I've been thinking a lot lately about fatherhood. Yeah, fatherhood in the big broad context of what does being a father actually mean? What was my father like? What's your father like? What should I be like as a father? It's been a central topic going on in my mind for quite a while. For reasons I'm about to share, I'm Roy Arthur. This is my unbelievable reality. I am a dad. I actually am a 4-time dad. And to make it even crazier, my youngest is 3 months old. And my 3 oldest are all adults. So there's quite a bit of an age gap there in my experience being a father. And right now I'm just having a blast. I never thought I was actually going to ever do this again. And it's just an amazing, unbelievable experience to have, especially with the juxtaposition of having older kids and watching how their journey, it still continues, and the similarities, even though the vast differences in age and times and societies, etc. It's a lot of times I literally sit quietly and just go, holy fuck, what? And it's funny because I have always taken the responsibility of being a father so seriously. So seriously. I treasure my children. They're absolutely the most incredible thing that I ever experienced. The most purest form of love is the love that comes from a parent to a child and from a child to a parent. Now, granted, that's not 100% circumstance because, nothing ever is. But I would say for the vast majority of parents and children, it's like that. It's just pure. Especially when they're little and especially when it's new. But for me, it never went away. And part of the reason for today's podcast is for me to explore a little bit with you why, for me, it's so important in my life. And why in so many ways that my children have been the bedrock on which I've been able to survive addiction and finally find a way into recovery. And my story doesn't begin as a father, of course. My story begins as a son, and the son of an absentee father who also is now finding himself in a tremendous predicament when coming to terms with my own father. So a little background here. My parents were divorced when I was 5, and my dad basically dipped. He was one of those occasional weekend warrior parents, showed up, looked good, drove cool cars, always had a new chick, really viewed children as a possession and an asset, and was distant, to put it lightly. Years have gone by over the course of my life and over the course of my own time as being a father where I haven't even spoken to my father. My father has been basically a no-show through the majority of my life, and it was a funny thing for me when I became a father, because, and the truth of it is, I made a promise, I made a vow when my daughter was born, my first was born, that I would never be like my father. That I would never abandon her. I would never leave her side. I would always support her. I would give her every advantage I could possibly give her to be successful in life and to see the world with open eyes and an open heart and an open mind, to be intuitive, inquisitive, aggressive, bold, to not live with insecurity and fear of self. And I made that promise to her, and I made that promise to all of my children, even my youngest, who's just now fresh, new, and so innocent and alive. It's just, I digress. But I did that because of my father. And as I said, my father was absentee, and now he's very, very late in his life cycle, and he knows it. His days are numbered. He's mid-80s, and he's having physical issues, and so on and so forth. And he has now come to me in his usual narcissistic, arrogant, selfish way, and asked me to forget the past. To forget that he was not only not a father to me, but has never been a grandfather to his grandchildren, of which mine are 4 of them are mine, and a couple more are from my sister. And I reflected upon that because for me, I still, at this point in my life, I'm older, and I'm not going to be specific, but I'm older. I still can't grasp how he never understood how important being a father was, and how, as fathers, our only legacy will be what memories and stories and legends are left behind when we're gone that our children will continue to tell. We only exist as long as the next generations are able to remember this, and that is something I've always been cognizant as a father. The weight and the responsibility of that is a heavy fucking load, but that is the deal. And when you become a father, I believe you take on a lifelong responsibility. And for me, that was knowingly. None of my children are accidents. They were all planned. They were part of just how my journey evolved, but they weren't accidents, and I welcomed each and still do. And I'm constantly in communication with them, and I'm constantly trying to nurture and guide, even through their, now my oldest is reaching close to the 3-0 number. Not there's a distance, but so. And yet here I am, I still parent all the time. I'm still involved in her life actively, even if we don't speak for a week, maybe 10 days. I still get the full catch up in the hour that we will after that, because I'm still relevant. And she knows that I am always there for her. And I only was able to do that having come from a place where I had no experience at all in being a father. I had no idea what I was doing because I didn't have a father. And my mother went through a succession of stepfathers, and they weren't fathers either. So I grew up without one. I had no role model. I had to create it from scratch. I had to make it up. I had to invent my vision of what I would like a father to be if I could choose one for me. And so that's what I did. And so, piece of advice, sidebar, if you're a father, if you're a new father, if your children are older, it doesn't matter. We will be, our job is supposed to be to teach them until we no longer exist. To show them how to grow old gracefully. To show them how to handle middle age. To show them how to handle their young adult years. To show them, to guide them, to support them. Because we have been there before them. That is the journey. It's not ever over. And it's such a sacred honor. And for a lot of fathers that are struggling with work-life balance and volatile relationships and difficulties with your wife, etc., 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 that's all noise. The purest and truest thing, the most important thing, is your children are forever. And ask yourself every day, as you're being a father, what in my mind, if I could imagine a great dad, what would he look like? And then for me, I try to be that. I'm not 100%. No one is. I have failed so much. I have fallen so much. I've spoken before about my journey of recovery. And there's so much more. That's just the tip of the iceberg. But through it all, I was always thinking, am I being a good dad? Am I doing the best I can? Are they going to remember me when I'm gone and say good things? Are they going to still tell stories to their children about grandpa, the crazy grandpa that they grew up with? How out of hand he was, how he would do anything, how he traveled the world. He was a model, an actor, a business owner, professional skier, fly fisherman, bow hunter, etc. I mean, will they still tell those stories? Will those memories live on? Because without those memories living on, I don't live on. And that message to you out there, if you're a father and you see this podcast, that is the message, that is the point. The point is that regardless of who your father was, if he was a good father, bless you, you lucky fuck, make sure you try to do a better job. And if he wasn't there, then create in your mind the father you wish you had. The dream vision of what would my dad look like, and then try to be that dad for your kids. And if you stay on that path, no matter how often you waver and vary, if you stay on that path, keep following that path, keep having that thought in your mind, you will raise happy, healthy, good, intelligent children. That is really how simple it really is. Regardless of circumstance. Just always try to imagine, if I was my dad, what would I want to be like? Once again, thoughts from Roy Arthur of, hey, you like them, keep them. If you don't, throw them away. Comments, love them. Feedback, subscribe. More subscribers, get the message out. There's so much more to come. Going to dive in the next podcast a little bit more on my personal story of recovery. But this one was eating at me and I wanted to share it, so let's see what happens with that. Unbelievable Reality Podcast. Because really, life is fucking unbelievable, isn't it?